Y'all still bills, what's the deal, man? Yo, I'm heading to work. It's Thursday, man. It's Friday Eve, man. Time just feeling like a motherfucker. It was literally just Monday, my nigga. Literally just Monday. I fucked my knee up literally a week ago today, man. Shit be crazy like that, man. But peep game, we gonna get into this shit, man. And that's I want to talk about pound for pound, bro. I've heard a few, a few talking points. I've heard who's the best fighter of this generation. The pound for. I've heard a lot of narratives, and I want to speak on something, man. First off, let me start by saying I've heard the notion that Canelo is the best fighter of this generation, and I've also heard Bud is the best fighter of this generation. And I think that's left, to be left up to determination. You dig, depending on how it is you feel. But what I will say is this: I don't think Canelo's ever going to climb back up to number one on the pound for pound list, unless he goes undisputed at 175 pounds, man. If he's able to fight Bivol again after this 3-fight PBC deal, go up there, fight Bivol. Bivol still undefeated and has his belt, and takes his belt from him and goes on to fight, a better BF. If those two don't already line it up, and he's able to go undisputed, that's the only way I see him being able to climb back up to number one, to the top of the mountain. I think what Bud and Monster just did, I think with this fight with Usyk, Usyk looking the way that he looked, which I don't think he looked no different than any other fight in his last matchup. It's just Daniel Dubois, a lot of people felt he got robbed out of a win, or at least a knockdown at the very most. He got robbed out of that, and for that, a lot of people feel that he's a little bit more vulnerable. So now in comes Tyson Fury, and they already got the fight signed and all that shit. So that's what's up. That's what's up. But I think it's going if Usyk is able to beat Tyson Fury and become double time undisputed, I think those are going to be the three that fight for the number one spot: Monster, Bud, and Usyk. It would be between those three. It would take Canelo doing that at 175 pounds in order for him to rise, to be able to rival them at number one. So I'm gonna just go on ahead and say that, and I can't even definitively say who's the better, who deserves number one between Bud and Monster right now. I can't do that. I cannot do that, bro. Like that's a pick 'em. That's a pick 'em. But yeah, I think yeah, I don't think Canelo gonna be able to do that, man. But as far as I've heard Jim Lampley say, Canelo is the best fighter of this generation, and I've also heard people say that Bud is the best fighter of this generation. I personally don't give a fuck who you got. In all actuality, man, I think where you, um, Bud, I think is a better overall fighter than Canelo, just due to his feet. Just the intellect in his feet is what sets him apart from Canelo as far as skill set is concerned. Being able to switch righty lefty, being able to control distance and tap dance from the outside and walk you into counter or walk you into traps, being able to stay poised and composed in the pocket and fight you there. He can cover all three distances. I don't think Canelo can fight at range. Now to his benefit, he's never been of the height to be able to do that. If he was fighting at welterweight, then yeah, I think he'd be able to stick work behind his jab if that's what he wanted to do. But because he's in a division where he's fighting dudes that are way bigger than him or taller than him, he's not at liberty to stay on the outside and pepper you with the jab. Bud is. Bud is. He's in a division where he can stay, he can shit. I can stay out here, just pick you apart from out here, or I can step in behind the jab and go to work to get you up out the pain. Like he can do that. He can do that. But it just really just depends on how you look at it. If you're looking at from because I think when people, even when they talk about Bud going up and beating Canelo in his own division, man, I'm like this. People speak of Canelo as if he's just all raw power, like he's only it's kind of in a manner that they speak of Mike Tyson. Like he's simply just walking you down and just coming forward, and that's literally it. They're not, they're disregarding the feints, they're disregarding the head movement, keeping your head off the center line. They're disregarding yeah, you're coming forward behind the high guard, but you're countering off of those shots that you're catching. The catches you counters. They're disregarding the fact he's getting to the sides of the straights and getting up under the hooks. He's doing, and he's capitalizing off of the misses. Canelo does that same thing. I've heard this. All he does is that he fights the same way. I mean, shit, bro. What else can you do? When Christian Mobility really starts rising through the rank, he starts becoming, a more notable name, which he is doing. Y'all gonna say the same shit about him because him and Canelo are the same height. He may be a little bit taller than Canelo. When you're at a disadvantage, a height disadvantage, you don't have the liberties of switching up your game plan. You just got to be extremely solid in what it is that you do, and that's what they are. That's what Mike was. That's what Canelo is. That's what the two of them are. But they just talk about these niggas as if that's all they're good for. That's all they can do. All they can do is all they can do is just come forward. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. He can't fight. He can't fight these dudes at mid range. He's not at liberty to do that no more. He's not at liberty to do that no more. So, it is what it is. But they talk about them as if they're not, as if that's all that they can do. And they're so enamored with Bud, destroying Spence in the manner that he did, that I think a lot of people are real life jumping out the window with the shit that they're saying. I get a lot of like I've had to really, Bud sees everything on the internet, man, and I don't ever want him to think that I'm anti-Bud or nothing like that. Nah, that ain't the case. I respect weight divisions. I respect weight divisions. There's no, I don't. When Floyd got the calling out telling Monster he got to fight in America and he can fight at a catch weight with Tank, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not a fan of that fight. When Gary Russell got the calling out Bud, why? I'm not a fan of that fight. What y'all think is gonna happen to these dudes when they jump up? Does Bud have the skill set to compete with a Canelo Alvarez? Yeah, he absolutely does. But even like I was at my fight party, and everybody wants to talk about Amir Khan as if Canelo hasn't ascended past that fight, that version of himself. I'm like, you can't go. That Amir Khan was what, 7 years ago? You can't do that. You can't do that. And even with Sean Porter, I was, oh man, what Bud does, Canelo's gas, he starts wearing down after 9 and this and that and third and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, yes, all of that is true. But Bud has an incredible gas tank in his division. Y'all don't know how it's going to translate once he throws on them 21 extra pounds. That's what I'm getting at. And if he's able to do that, he's in that fight. But he has to be able to lug around that extra weight. On the offensive standpoint, he has to be able to hit Canelo with something to garner his respect and force him to think on his entry. Force him to be really calculated on his entry. That's what he has to do. And on the defensive end, he has to get up. But, when you slip and you roll up under shots, that takes energy away from you. And when you get countered, and Canelo likes to slip the straights and dig his left hook into that liver. He's going to feel those body shots. He's going to feel them. And can he withstand them? This dude he's broken orbital bones and he's broken bicep. Like, he's broken niggas' arms up there at 168 pounds. Much bigger dudes. You dig? I'm like, man, we just kind of, just don't jump out the window too much. So I don't like everybody up here in the city is super amped about it. I'm like, y'all got it. Y'all got to chill. Y'all got to chill. Let's see how he looks at 154 pounds first. Let's see how he looks at the lowest version of middleweight before we even talk about him jumping up to the highest version of middleweight, weight-wise. That's all I'll be asking for. That's all, niggas live in the moment. But anyways, they talk about Canelo that's like as if that's all he knows how to do is just come forward. And it's a lot more nuanced than that. It's a lot more nuanced. Getting up under shots. I think, he lands at a pretty high percentage. He's able to deflect and roll and ride and slip, a high percentage of shots that come at him. It's more nuanced than him just walking forward. It's a lot more nuanced. So I just think as it pertains to these two, because I think these two may be the best fighters of this generation. And do I want to call, yeah, we gotta say Canelo's of this generation. We got to. Him, Bud, Monster, they're all 30. Monster, I think, is 30 in the now. Usyk, we have to. I think he has to be on there as well. All four of these fighters could easily be the face of this generation. All four of them. Especially if Usyk goes double undisputed at heavyweight, yo, bro. But you mainly hear between Bud and Canelo, and I just think it really just depends on, you know, your interpretation of it. I personally don't know. Like, I don't know who to say. I'm not mad at either answer. I just want you to come with a logical explanation and whatever answer it is that you give. That's all I'm saying. Give me a logical answer. All right, cool. I can respect that. I just don't know. So I ain't finna say, oh, it's Canelo, it's Bud. It can be both. It can be both. Because both of them are incredible fighters. Both of them have done incredible things. But and where Bud, despite him being undisputed, double undisputed, he does lack the names on his resume in comparison to Canelo. So you say, well, Bud isn't as Canelo isn't as he isn't as versatile as Bud. You got I'm not gonna argue that, but Bud doesn't have the resume of a Canelo Alvarez. Spence has never been Golovkin. He's never been that, like ever. Even though that was a great win, he jump up and he get the violating niggas at 154 pounds. Oh yeah, yeah. Now you building on that resume, but then even there's still like like Golovkin, Cotto, Jacobs, undefeated fighters, Billy Joe Saunders, Callum Smith, Caleb Plant in their divisions, taking their belts from them, taking their crowns from them. So it just really just depends on what it is that you like, man. Me, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not mad at either answer. I fuck with either answer. Either answer. It is what it is, but you know, my hands is tied. I'm a fan of both fighters. I see the greatness in both fighters. I see that we know both fighters are tried and true. So whatever answer it is you want to ride with, that's the answer you want to ride with, yo. And I ain't tripping at all. Either answer is a good answer. So yeah, I'm about to run up here, grab me something to grub on, man. Y'all know what it is. Y'all be easy. Doses.